So many people are tired of trading time for money but not getting ahead. Are you tired of wondering what's going to be happening down the road for your kids' financial future, for your financial future? Is it ever going to get better? It's not getting better? Is it ever going to be better than it is today? So if you're tired of those kinds of things and are feeling that way, guess what?
So everyone, as you're piling in today on this Thankful Thursday, we got a special guest, someone I'm super excited to have here. He's on the opposite corner of this great country of ours.
Yeah.
He has been around the infinite banking concept for at least a decade now. He's helped thousands and thousands of people. He used to be in a different role, but since he's become an infinite banking certified practitioner, also my friend, I got to spend time with him in Arizona and Canada. Yeah, we had some good times. So welcome, Brian Fouts. It's good to have you here, brother.
Glad to be here, man. Yeah. I always love talking about this kind of stuff and sharing.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time today. We're gonna help people identify, self-identify, right? And a lot of these folks here, like I said, they're already banking, they're already bankers.
It's always kind of interesting that, people always, say, when should I get started? When should I get started? I go 20 years ago or today. But it's funny that, in a lot of the things that we do, people learn more almost after they have the policy in place and they get to have that experience because you never stop learning. So
That's it. And the ones that are really, like you said, they never stop learning. It's because banking doesn't even start until you have a policy approved and funded. And it doesn't really actually start until you start utilizing it, whether it's we're going to talk about all this stuff, but it's really about how are you going to use this to take back control and keep practicing it, keep putting it in motion, and you'll get better and better at it all the time. Well, look at that.
yeah. So for those of you who are new, I mean, some of you have probably seen me before, but yeah, I'm up in North Idaho. So I'm up out in the woods, in the country, in the forest.
Personally, I can find it a little bit challenging to run the presentation, to talk about the things that are on the screen versus just what's in my head, and do everything else. So, all right, be interactive like always, y'all. Just get in there, chat. If you got questions, ask them. Someone in the chat will probably be able to answer your question for you, or just hold them to the end. Brian and I are happy to answer questions, and we're gonna dive into this, help you identify, and just have some fun today. So, here we go. Hey everyone, thank you for being here. I know your time is valuable, and we don't take it lightly that you choose to spend it with us. And so let me ask you, how many of you have ever felt like you're playing someone else's game when it comes to money? And how many of you are tired of feeling that way? Tired of feeling you're one step behind, no matter how much you earn, how much you save, how many side hustles you get, feel like you just can't get ahead. That's you? You're in the right place. And I want to commend you. We want to commend you because most people stay stuck in old thinking. But you showed up, and that tells us that you're ready for a new mindset. And what we're going to talk about today is how you're going to take back control of your money using a process that's been around longer than the IRS, the Federal Reserve, for over 200 years. It's a strategy. And why infinite banking is more than just a financial product. It's a mindset. It's a strategy. And how to get started, even if you're uninsurable, overwhelmed, or feel like it's too late. We get that all the time. And most importantly, how are you going to turn your knowledge into legacy? And not just for you, but for generations and generations to come. And like many of you, when I first heard about this, I'll be honest, I thought, this sounds too good to be true. It's too simple. And I got pretty ticked off. I might have cussed a bunch too. I'm not even in New York, but I had to put a bunch of money in that swear jar. But after 3,000 plus strategy calls and seeing it work in every life stage, every income, every age group, I can tell you, this works when you work it. I'll say that again. This works when you work it. And, when you work the system, you're going to walk away today knowing and being challenged with how you think about money. I'm going to introduce a method, or we're going to introduce a method that puts you back in control. And the process is simple. We're going to train you. We're going to test you. That means do. And then you're going to teach. And that's how you really cement the learning. That's how we start off talking about before. How you're going to cement it is by doing it one day at a time. And the payoff is freedom. It's legacy. It's stewardship. It's a different way of thinking and a new person that you become. And by the end of the session, you're going to know exactly what to do and how to take the next step. So, Val, it's over to you. Let's jump into this even further.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of those things, when it comes to anything, by the way, in life, there's saying here, and Henry Ford said it best, and I love this saying, by the way, but he says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, because you are going to make a reality that which you think or believe. And that's called subconscious programming. And when you look at what we're going to be talking about here today, the infinite banking concept, it's one of those concepts that really challenges the way that we think about money, the way that we've been programmed or taught around money. And as Jason said, some people say when they hear about this, they say, oh, it's too simple. Others say that, it's too good to be true, which as a funny one, I love that one. But, we and our colleagues and Jason and I, we've done, over 10,000 strategy calls teaching people how this works, going through all the questions. And we can tell you something. It works when you work it. It works when it makes sense to you. Because this stuff can make sense to us all day long, but it's got to make sense to you. And then you've got to work the system. Because when you work it, it'll work for you. And the approach to this, it's a very simple kind of framework. One, you got to train. So that is learning about the infinite banking concept. And by the way, this training never stops. You're always going to be learning because when you learn, you grow. You got to test it. You've got to put this thing into practice, into place in your life. And so that's like call it when the rubber meets the road or field experience, right? That's where you really start to get into it. And then you've got to teach. So as you grow through this strategy and through this concept, and this is something I've learned in my own journey, is I actually learn more almost by teaching other people, helping other people do this than I almost get by doing it myself. And so in a lot of the calls that we do just like this, you'll see a lot of our existing clients in the chats helping other people answer questions because as they answer more questions, guess what they're doing? They're affirming the strategy for themselves and they're continuing their own learning process. So once again, train, test, and teach. That's really how this works. And that's when this, becomes more than just money management. It becomes sort of a movement, not in just your life, but those around you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Like, perfect. Train, test, teach. And we've, like Brian said, as a group, we've had tens of thousands of these calls. We've met everyone from every walk of life. And there's always four big financial problems that people are coming in, or even opportunities that people are coming in with. And most people, when they sit down with us, I want to know what is that first thing, because we get the answer all the time. I give them the four questions, Brian, and they say, I want all of it. I want 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm like, hey, if you have no focus, no direction, no destination, how are you going to get there? So the four problems that we see all the time are paying off debt rapidly. That's number one. And that's one of the biggest ones because right now Americans hold over $1 trillion in credit card debt, almost $2 trillion in student loan debt. And that's financial prison. This is what keeps the wealthy wealthy. That's what keeps them from having all the money because we're giving them all of our money as hardworking Americans. And they're not working for their money. We're working for their money. Number two is we're saving for a major purchase. An opportunity fund, whether we're going to send our kid to school, whether we're going to have a remodel, buying a new car, or a washer and dryer, as you'll learn about on the 2-day. When things come up, you need a way to pay for it, and you don't want to finance it through someone else. You want to do it the IBC way and keep that money in your family. 3 is the opportunity fund. I already said the words, but that's the money that's going to be deployed, right? Because like Warren Buffett said, you, right, have to learn how to put your money to work while you're sleeping, while you're snoozing. Because otherwise, you're going to work for money until the day that you die. And you guys don't want that, right? I know you don't. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be in this small minority of people with Brian and I learning about this stuff if you didn't want to put your money to work. So what we're teaching you is really Kiyosaki's cash flow. And then finally, the fourth piece that's super important to Brian and I mean, we're married, we have kids. We do this, I believe, for this reason. Not only do we want to give back, make everyone else's life better, but we want to pass on a guaranteed tax-free legacy. We want to multiply our money. And if people tell you can't buy your legacy belts, that's ridiculous. I have more money. I'm worth more dead than alive at this point, brother. And I mean, that's awesome. Then you got to put the systems and processes in place. You got to talk about how do you pass on the knowledge? Like Brian said, learning never stops. So here's the good news. Infinite banking can address all four of these things. Not by magic, but it's the mindset and mechanics that are going to work together.
Exactly. And the cool thing too is it doesn't have to do all of it at the same time. It can do them all, or sorry, they can all be done kind of simultaneously, but you typically work through one and then the other.
One thing at a time, right? And is this for you? Like, Brian, like go ahead and go through this one a little bit about, is this
Yeah.
for the people that we're here with?
Yeah, because I mean, here's the kind of when I'm talking to clients and talking to people, and this is me, by the way, but when I'm talking to them, we're always asking questions. And some of those things that we're trying to, ask is, are you tired of the banks? Tired of the banks controlling your money? Because banks exist for one reason, by the way. Jason, what's that reason?
Well, Brian, they just want to give us money because we're so damn good looking. Isn't that
Yeah.
right?
Would that be great? No, I mean, we all know this. Banks exist to make money. That's why they exist. And they make money off of your money, right? Wall Street, as an example. Wall Street makes a lot of money, fees off of us. Are you tired of giving your money to Wall Street, giving control to the banks, to Wall Street, and they making money off of you, but you feel like you just are left with peanuts at the end of the day? Or Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, by the way, in my opinion, is not our friend. They profit from our hard work. One of those ways, IRS, but it says essentially, man, they want to control your money because when they have that control, they control you. And think of working in corporate America. I used to do that, and I felt like I was on that financial hamster wheel, just spinning and spinning, but never getting ahead. I mean, so many people are tired of trading time for money, but not getting ahead. Are you tired of wondering what's going to be happening down the road for your kids' financial future, for your financial future? Is it ever going to get better? It's not getting better? Is it ever going to be better than it is today? So if you're tired of those kinds of things and are feeling that way, guess what? Infinite banking and what we're talking about here today is going to be a fit for you. You're going to understand this, right? Because a lot of us feel that way. But here's the thing, and I used to think that I was alone when I was going through my traditional path through life, job, corporate America, massive debt, but I wasn't alone. Everybody else around me was in the same situation. And, with all the calls that we've had, all the clients that we've helped over the years, I've helped thousands upon thousands in my previous, businesses. Guess what? Most people are struggling with the same financial challenges and the same mindset. Just to be honest, most people are in the same situation. And that's actually not, that's good news because that means that guess what? We've been there before. We've gotten through it. We've helped thousands of other people get through it as well. And we can help you because there is a way out. Now, infinite banking, I'm not going to sit here and say that it is the silver bullet, but it is one of the best bullets you'll have in your gun. So it is the framework really that can get you off that hamster wheel and put that money, control of money back into your hands. Take it away from the banks, take it away from corporate America, and put it back in your hands. But not just for you, though, for the future generations as well. Because when you start doing infinite banking, it has that ripple effect. It can help not just you, but your kids, grandkids, the next generations. It can make a big impact hundreds of years down the road. There are families that have been doing this for over 130 years, right? Think of all the generations they've impacted. So this thing is extremely powerful. And the other thing I'll say is when a lot of people, when they look at infinite banking, they're like, might not click right away, but when it does, they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had done this 20 years ago. That would have been the best time. The second best time, it's today, right? It's today. So if this resonates, if this makes sense, let's kind of keep going with this. Let's get a bit deeper into this and see which type of the infinite banking avatar that you are. Because once you sort of know your avatar, and we help you with this on the calls, by the way, then you can start to navigate that path that is the best fit for you.
And Brian, it's like once you give yourself permission, right? Like what Brian's talking about is saying, hey, if you're tired of this, if you're feeling beat up, if you're feeling like you're alone, guess what? You're not. 95% of our country is feeling the same way because it's like Einstein said this, you have to know the rules of the game and then you got to play better than anyone else. Guess what? No
Mm-hmm.
one's been teaching you until now the rules of the game. Brian and I are here saying, hey, the game's much simpler than you think it is. It's really about cash flow. It's really about control. It's really about guarantees. So we're going to give you away. This is participation, folks.
Mm-hmm.
I want you either to wait to the end and then put which avatar you are in the chat, or if it just rings out and it screams to you and you're like, that's me. That's me, man. Then I want you to pop that in the chat. So let's start with number one. Number one is we have the legacy. Oh, let me click the Brian, you got to run the thing too, huh? We got 4 different avatars we're going to talk about. So the first one is a legacy-minded provider. This is the person who says, I want to set my family up for generations. Maybe you read What Would the Rockefellers Do? Or you just have seen other families that have been successful for generations and generations. You say, I want to be that generation one and disrupt what's been happening in my family for generations, and I'm going to break that pattern. I'm going to be something different. And these folks might already have life insurance. They might have retirement accounts, putting money in something that's matching in a qualified way. They have savings. Maybe they have some crypto, but they want to align something with their values that creates a family banking system. They want this system now on top of everything else they have because their driver is going to be responsibility and provision. And we have number two.
The late starter builder, this is that person, like I just said, hey, I wish I'd started earlier, but is it too late now? I wish I'd done it, when I was in my 30s, but now maybe I'm in, my 60s or something like that. And a lot of people like this, they feel behind. They might feel like, hey, I'm uninsurable. I'm overwhelmed because guess what? I want to retire, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to retire. And with this avatar, the late starter legacy builder, when they discover the infinite banking concept, a lot of times they realize with this concept, they realize, okay, I can actually do something different than what I was doing, which typically, by the way, is nothing. But they can also do something not just for themselves, but for that next generation, grandkids, kids. And so a lot of these people right here is they're being driven by, they want to redeem themselves a little bit. They want to have that hope for not just themselves, but the future. And so here's something about infinite banking that a lot of people don't know is that when you do this concept, maybe you're 65, maybe you are uninsurable, but you still see the value inside this. What do you do? Well, you can actually do this for your adult kids, for your grandkids. You can set them up with their own infinite banking policy. You can pass that wealth and the knowledge on to the next generation. So that's a very, very powerful aspect of infinite banking. Additionally, the late starter person, sometimes this person, like they have some money, they have that ability to maybe jumpstart a policy because when you are in your 20s and sometimes even your 30s, you might not have a lot of cash flow, right? But when you're later on in life, maybe you have a business. I see a lot of late starters, they say, okay, you know what? I can take this something I've built, whether it's cash or a lump sum or whatever it is, and I can put it into this vehicle, infinite banking, and then put it to work and kind of catch back up. So they catch back up in by investing into real estate or putting it to work, but they're also taking that money or asset they've created and they're able to pass it on now to the next generation tax free, which I love by the way, and guaranteed, right? Guaranteed. But once again, when you think about passing something on to that next generation, it's not just money because money, I mean, everybody wants to have the person back, right? I mean, with what's just happening around the world today right now, I mean, money's great, but they'd rather have the person.
Mm.
But what you can pass on while you're still here is not just the money, but it's the knowledge because can last generations. So the late starter person, oftentimes when I'm working with them, what we're doing is we're actually talking not just to them, but to other family members and getting them on board. And that late starter person, they're so overjoyed because they realize I'm making an impact into my kids, my grandkids, and even their great grandkids potentially. And that is cool. So I
That's
love
the
late starters. It's
That's
awesome.
the ripple effect right there. And a lot of time it's that leader. I just want to jump in because Brian, that's the truth. Like when we're talking to someone that's maybe in their early 60s or however old they might be, their third or fourth quarter of life, but they're ready to get started and they've told their kids and their kids are like, I don't know about this. They're like, I'm going to go prove this works. And then I'm going to bring it back to my kids, to my grandkids, to the future generations. Because you start seeing, like I said, you start seeing a better way once you understand the rules of the game. And then I see a lot of you are identifying already. Next, we have the strategic investor, which Brian's going to jump into this one for you as well.
Yeah, so I love this thing because I've worked with a lot over the years, a lot of strategic investors. And so this is the person that says, "Hey, I want to have liquidity for investing. I want to have an opportunity fund, as we call it, so that I can take action when I need to. I want to make sure that I can understand tax-free growth or the tax implications, and I want to have that fuel over here for investments or even for my business." So a lot of investors like this or strategic investors are entrepreneurs. They're already self-employed. They already have maybe real estate or a real estate portfolio, or they want to do that. Maybe they have their own business. They may be doing like private investments, private strategies. And a lot of times with this person, they're so busy in their business, so busy in their investing that they haven't really sat back and said, okay, am I taking anything off the table? Am I building like a future retirement fund, those kinds of things? And so infinite banking can do both for them. So a lot of business people will take some money off the table essentially and put it into a policy, infinite banking design policy that gives them the liquidity to take action on investments or to grow their business, but it also grows uninterrupted for the retirement strategy. So they can actually have this asset growing no matter what they do and use it for retirement income or in retirement investing. So it checks off so many boxes. And I love the conversation. So when an investor comes in, they're very analytical in most cases. And they're looking at all the numbers and stuff, and then you'll see it in their eyes. It's like, boom, it clicks. You're like, oh my gosh, why did I not have this in place when I got started 5, 10, 15 years ago? They're saying, this is insane. This is amazing as part of their overall strategy.
Mm.
And so I love working with them because we'll start to dive into the strategy. Okay, this is how it's going to work here and how you can use it here. And we get really into it. And I'll be honest, the strategic investor just gets excited about infinite banking. They just love it because it does more than one thing at the same time. When you're investing and you're moving money around, it's typically in one box or one bucket at one time. You take money from your checking account or your business, you put it into real estate, and there it is. You take it from this bucket and put it into this investment fund, it's there. With infinite banking, it's there and here. It's called the and method. It's in the infinite banking policy growing and over here and growing at the exact same time. But it also provides you protection through a tax-free generational death benefit, which can protect your business. Your business partner can be protected. It's private, by the way, so it privatizes the whole thing. So you're not having to leverage banks, which is not private, by the way, to grow your business. It's actually protected in most states as an asset. So you have an asset that's part of your business, but it's protected in case your business gets, sued. It's a protected asset. I could go on, but I love the strategic investor because it just makes so much sense for what they're doing as an overall strategy.
Beautifully said. It's the and both strategy. If you're in an investment, you may or may not win. It's got no lid on it, right? So I'm going to do this or that or that. All Brian was saying is you do this and that, you get guaranteed compounding growth. You get to use their money and you provide the legacy no matter what. You get to have your job, $1 doing 3 jobs. So if you identify with this person, your driver is going to be growth and opportunity. Growth and opportunity. The next one is the one we probably see the most, even if they're strategic investors, even if they're, and the next one's a debt liberator, right? So we've talked about the legacy minded, we've talked about the late starter, we talked about the strategic investor. Now we have the debt liberator. And this is Brian's invention for us. He's like, we need a name. We need another avatar here. And this is a person that's done saying, hey, I see how much money, you kind of get this like, kind of bow up a little bit. You're getting ready to fight. You're like, I see how much money the banks are making on me. They're making like 400 to 1300%. I mean, I'm done with that. I'm done giving my interest to the banks, to credit card companies, to the government. I don't want to see that money leaving my family. I'm working my butt off. I'm working 2 jobs, Brian. Why don't I have any money? Well, it's because if you could get a 21, a 24, a 29, a 31, a 35, I've even seen this week, Brian, 35% return on a credit card that you're paying to someone else's family. Remember how I say the wealthy are playing a different game? Guess who the wealthy, they're the ones controlling that stuff that are telling you like, hey, I'm going to pay all this. Imagine if you could just bring that back to your family. And so by practicing IBC, it's about loving yourselves a little bit more, by the way. It's about saying, you know what? I'm not going to be last in line for my money anymore. I am now in control. I will pay myself first. I will follow the laws of the wealthy. I will pay myself between 10 and 20% of every paycheck, every dollar that comes in the door before I pay them. And while you do that, you put it into your policy. It builds up. And whether you're doing it all at once in the beginning, annually, overfunding it, or building it up over time, month to month, either way, you take back the control of the debt. You start changing your financial environment. And that's when things start getting fun. Like your habits have changed. And sometimes it might not feel like you've really done much for a while because the cash flow is still the same. It's either flowing into your policy, into your debt, back to yourself. So you're not working any harder. It doesn't seem that sexy. I mean, this is where I was. It took us like 2 years to get all clear of all of our debt. But let me tell you, when you start piling that back in, once it's paid off, then you can go be that strategic investor. You see how these play into each other? They go one to the next. And this driver is freedom and ownership. I look at this one as, again, freedom and ownership. If you're the debt liberator, that's how you see. We got Ronald. Say people are like, oh, I'm that one. I'm that one. See, it's pretty easy to be all of them. So I love how you guys are self-identifying. I see a couple answers, which means I need answers from everyone else that's not driving. No one crash. They give us answers, but
And one thing, by the way, about these things is that you might start out as one and move to another one. Because you can be different avatars throughout your journey. You're not one or the other and stuck there, right? So a lot of people are the debt person that they want to get liberated from the debt. But once you do that, then it's like, okay, now what? Now which one can I go be? Maybe you're going to go be the builder. You can actually, by the way, be the investor and the provider at the same time because they both have the same kind of benefits, generational wealth, but at the same time. So you can be more than one. And I'll even say this, I've had clients that have more than one policy for a different avatar reason. So they'll have one that is mainly just geared towards generational wealth. Then they have another one that is geared just 100% more towards the investor model. So you can have more than one, by the way. That's the kind of the cool thing. But when you're getting started, it's good to identify with one of these at the start. Say which one is more of kind of a fit. And then when we're talking with clients and stuff and people, we'll start to kind of pick up which one you're probably going to be. Pretty quick, pretty easy for us. Even if you might not know what it is, we'll figure it out pretty quick.
we will. And Brian, and your point on this, like once you identify, all this is telling you, the more, like anything, if you're trying to build a business, you're trying to lead a team, you're trying to lead your family, the first thing you have to know is kind of what are you leading them to? Where are you going? What is your destination? Like once you have clarity and you're crystal clear on what you want and who you are right now. I love the ones in the chat saying, I'm number 4, but I'm going to number 1. Guess what? You're already number 1 if you're number 4 and you started this process because you already created a guaranteed legacy. But you're moving towards that identity, who you wake up in the morning. This is how some people get up and go work out every day and some don't because they have an identity of who they are. I get up and work out. I do this. So when you say, I'm going to take back control, I'm a provider, or I'm the builder, I'm the investor, I'm the liberator. All those things are empowering. Yes, Brian? Like all those things require you to not be in the gap. And you're going to be in the gap sometime, by the way. And the gap is defined as scarcity. Oh my God, this is never going to work out. This is too hard. This is crazy. I can't do this, right? Once you get past that, once you think, what is possible? You know what? Instead of I can't do that, how can I do this? Just change the quality of your questions. How can I do this? Remember, this is about your mindset and helping you move to whatever that next thing is for you. And some of the common fears, right? I'm going to dive into some of these common fears and Brian's mentioned some of these already, but they come up all the time. Every call, right? Every call. I got a woman the other day that was younger than me, Brian. She's like, I think I'm too old. I think I'm too old. And I was like, well, I hate to say it. I was born before you. And I started after the age you're at now, when I started. And so I think you're going to be okay. You're not even at halftime yet, and it really doesn't matter whether you're 18, 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, or even 71. You're not too old as long as you still have your health. Now, if that's a concern, there's other conversations we can have regarding that. We already talked about that. But it's always best to know. It's always best to take action, to see how you can apply this, and we can get creative and help you get there. Leads us right into the second one, right? What if I'm uninsurable? Well, the best way to find out is to have a conversation, and we can say some of the things that they won't. If you have like a quadruple bypass, you have different things like that are very life-threatening, the more risk, that's a likelihood. But if you tell us what you have going on, we can go ask preliminary underwriting. We have great relationships with these large mutually owned dividend paying companies, and they tell us usually within 24 to 48 hours. We get as many details as we can, and we can tell you. And if you're not insurable, well, then we're going to say, let's get creative. Brian mentioned this earlier again. Who's your most responsible adult child?
Yeah.
That's a conversation I have. Who's the most responsible? Who's the one that's doing the best earning and taking care of their health and in a good financial situation that could help you do this? And you could fund that policy, right? You can be the payer of that policy. So there's different ways to do that. And then the overwhelming part, I get it. Like if you were learning how to do something for decades and decades and decades, and then you find out it's the wrong way, you might feel uncomfortable. You might say, But it's simple, right? You don't get to the top of the mountain unless you do what? You take the first step. You'll never run a marathon, a 5K, an ultra unless you do what? You take the first step. And everything worth doing starts by just taking a leap of faith and courage. That's why Nelson Nash said this is an exercise of reason, logic, prophecy, and imagination. You know,
100%.
we talk a lot about numbers, math and math, but Brian and I are here together because we both believe it's way more about the real estate between your ears than is the math. We will show you the math. We've got tools to show you the math. We can do everything with the math. And it's way more about your mindset and if you believe you can or you believe you can't. So these are some of the common fears. Don't let them stop you. If you identify with one of those avatars, the thing you want to do is to test yourself. We talked about training. You're here training with us. Testing is doing the thing.
Yeah. And kind of how kind of your next step is how you move forward to this is, well, you're here right now, by the way. So you're actually on this call, listening to us right now. You've identified, hey, I'm a legacy provider. I'm a late starter. I'm an investor. I'm a, debt liberator. So that right there is actually the training. You're literally learning right now just by being here, which I love that, by the way. And I commend everybody who is here for doing that. And we have some other segments we're going to be talking about. And when we talk with people as well, one-on-one, we're diving even deeper into what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to solve. So part of just what we do on an ongoing basis, Jason can attest to this, is constantly training or teaching you. So we're always training people on infinite banking because here's why I say training is so important, right? If you've never seen a car before, and someone hands you the keys and you hop in and start the car, you're probably going to go off a cliff. That's not a good thing, right, by the way. But hey, guess what? We're going to talk to you about what a car is, how you drive it. Then guess what you're going to do? Well, you're going to get into the car and start implementing what you have learned. You cannot drive the car and learn how to be a good driver unless you get in the driver's seat and start implementing what you have been trained on. So that's the next thing is testing it out, right? So once you've identified the training, who you are, that kind of stuff. Now you've got to test the strategy. That means going through the application process, understanding, okay, what's my numbers going to look like for me? Put this thing into action, called the rubber meets the road, right? And then the last thing is, of course, teaching, right? Keep learning. So once you have experience, it's going to make more and more sense for most people, right? And you're going to want to share this with others. You're going to want to keep learning because I kid you not, I don't have my book. I just gave my infinite banking book, Jason, to somebody this morning to go read. But we have people that are clients that read the Nelson Nash Infinite Banking book every single year, sometimes multiple times, right? They read it once 5 years ago, but now they have a policy. They're like, oh my gosh, now I want to read that book like every 3 months because it makes more sense now. They're learning and teaching themselves every single time they read it because now they're actually doing what they've been hearing about. So I love that part of it. And, once again, Henry Ford, I love this quote, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So when you start taking action on infinite banking, you're thinking that you can, it's going to start working for you. And I just love that part of it. So when it comes to like the overall next step, here's what I want you to think about. Do you want to take back control of your money and your financial future? Do you want to create a life and a legacy that you're proud of or that you are meant to have? I mean, most people are going to say yes to that right there, right? If you're saying no, then I want to have a conversation because I want to know what you're thinking. But think about that for a second. Do you want to have control of your money and your financial future?
Brian, I think you're nicer than me. If someone told me no right there, I'm like, cool. You know what? Cool. You're good. You're good. Yeah. Brian and I have invested so much, right? Like the fourth law of wealth is invest in yourself. And we're here speaking this into you, into existence, because our words make our world. And Brian and I both believe, like he shared his coaching classes with me. I've shared my models with him because we want to keep learning from each other. We want to keep growing. And we have, I bet you, very similar experiences on our calls because we're listening to the words that are being told, how you are self-identifying. What is your goal right now? And what is your big goal? And if you're going to apply for this goal right now, because we're going to pay off a debt, we're going to buy a new vehicle, we're going to send a kid to school, whatever it is, we want to be able to tie this to the long vision. And the only way you can do that, like Brian said, is you train by learning. And we give you tons and tons and tons of content, of videos, of webinars, of time, of our strategy calls, which coaching, we both charge probably hundreds of dollars an hour, but we're doing it because we want to see you win. And then you test yourself. Rubber hits the road. I like that, Brian. I'm going to use that one. And then you teach, right? You teach by turning around and helping others. And the point I wanted to make, because Brian, you said so many wise things with this methodology, this 3T methodology. By the way, not even mine. I stole this from Chief Master Neri. Just so he's out there, I don't want to get my butt whooped up on, but he talks about the train, teach, and test. You got to get on the mat. You got to go through the testing or the training, and then you got to test. And you can test by either going to get in a fight in a parking lot, Brian, or maybe you go sign up in a tournament. And this is the same thing with infinite banking. It's not some magic formula. That's why I'm going on and on a little bit about this. It's not a magic formula. It is a strategy. It's been around for 200 plus years. The wealthiest families use this. And guess what? A lot of Americans are now using this too, because it's finally become available for everyone. So wherever you identified, like Dex said, 5 years goes quick. Wherever you've identified today, let's bring this thing home, right? We've covered so much. How infinite banking can help you. It can help you pay off your debt faster and smarter. It can help you save for those big life purchases without losing the opportunity cost and the guaranteed growth. It can help you build an opportunity fund to be that strategic investor, to be and seize opportunities when they come your way. Because guess what? He or she who has the gold is going to make the rules and have stuff find them. And then you've also learned, by being any one of these avatars, you're also going to have a tax-free legacy that's going to far outlive you. And what you learned as well is not about age, not about net worth or complexity. It's about mindset and the mechanics, the strategy. And remember my story when I first started. I was skeptical. I didn't know if this would work for me. I didn't know if I was smart enough or had good enough habits financially to do this. But guess what? When we started training, when we started doing the things, I started believing. And when I applied it, there was no other outcome other than success. And now I've been able to teach thousands of you, like Brian, right? We both apply this in our life. So we taught you how to rethink money, how to reclaim control, how to train, to test, and to teach. That's the biggest gift you can get. We always talk about it on this channel. Invite people to this channel so we can help spread the message. It's a big ass infinite banking buzz. Bring them on. You walked away with more clarity, more confidence, and a strategy rooted in stewardship. And here's the question. What's the one small step that you can take today to move forward? Is it reading Nelson's book that I held up? Is it booking a strategy call? You can do that by scanning the QR code right here, starting your first policy. Maybe you're adding an additional policy. Whatever it is, do it. Because it's not just about today. It's about what you're building for tomorrow. And let's build something that's going to outlive all of us, right? The legacy, the control, the stewardship. So thank you for spending time with Brian and I. We'll take some questions here, but my mission is to help you think differently, intentionally, to leave a lasting impact. Infinite banking, again, is not just about money. It's about freedom. It's about control. It's about stop playing their game. No longer playing the wealthy game. Guess what? You're going to be the wealthy. Welcome to the club. It's your turn to take that next step. Train, teach, test. Let's build something that outlives us all. Again, schedule a call with myself. We're going to be talking about this again in the 2-day. So we're both blessed to have you here. Brian, any thoughts from you on your mind that you want to share with our group?
Yeah, a lot of people when they come across infinite banking, there's a lot of questions as, is it a fit for me? Does it make sense? There's a lot of other things out there I've been hearing about. There's a lot of other, I guess I would say, questions you probably have that might be stopping you from taking that next step. But here's what I say. Get those questions down, write them down, remember them, and then get on a call and ask them. Because we have probably heard every single question you probably could dream of. And if you have a question, we probably heard it dozens, if not hundreds of times before. So just get the questions out, schedule a call, take that first step. Because here's the thing. If you do nothing different, nothing is going to change. If you want something different in your life, you've got to do something different. Like that is paralysis by analysis right there, or being stuck. And if you're worrying about something, infinite banking or otherwise, worry is just focusing on something that has not happened yet. So If you're worried about something that has not happened yet, my suggestion is to take different action today.
Yes.
Because what
And
you focus on is what you make, is what
yeah.
you create in reality around you. And I kid you not, I mean, if you worry about something enough, you're going to make it a reality. And so if you're worried about financial stability, financial future, about having enough money for down the road, and that's what you're focusing on, that's what you're worrying about in the back of your mind, that is what you're going to experience. So take a different action today so that you can get a different result. Now, that all being said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that infinite banking is a fit for everybody. It is not a fit for everybody. And I'd rather tell you it's not a fit today so that you can start doing something different than have you think about it for the next 5 years, like Dexter talked about.
And Brian, to your point, like when you're going out there and teaching people, I had a Navy vet, guy, well, he's still in the Navy, 20 years in, and he's applying this. He's applying this because he is that the debt liberator, right? That's his first step. And he's also building legacy at the same time for his beautiful kids and wife. And he's like, Jason, these young guys they don't listen to me. They don't get it. What can I say? They'll make a difference. I say, hey, first, you're a stud. Like you are a legend that you're out there even talking about this as you're beginning to test yourself and go through the process of applying it. Not many people are doing that. And that shows to me as a leader in the Navy how much you care, right, Brian? Like
Yeah.
he's the guy that's already out talking about it. And I'm like, you have to know that only about 2 out of every 10 people are ever going to even consider this and take action and actually test themselves and do this. It's Pareto's principle. Now, I know here we've got all those 2s out of 10s because all the 8 other people aren't here. If you guys got that math, like the other people that should be here, they're not because they're not you.
Yeah. And I'll say this, if you're talking to other people like you just mentioned, if someone's out there talking to other people about infinite banking, it's man, no one's, getting it. They're not like, they're not excited about it, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the reason why. It's because you're not entering the conversation that they're already having in their head.
Mm.
So everybody is having thoughts. Everybody has, subconscious programming and conscious thoughts, right? And if you're not aligned with those conscious thoughts and that subconscious programming, essentially it's like you're over here and they're looking over here. You've got to somehow bring this conversation of infinite banking in focus with what they are focused on or where they're looking. And it's challenging, by the way, because your goals and what you are looking at infinite banking for in your own life might not be what will get them excited about it. And so, I mean, obviously, I've been trained for on mindset side of stuff. And so when I used to do real estate, Jason, I used to talk to people and ask leading questions, they call it, and I'd get an idea of what they're focused on with the property they own, and then I would say or speak in a way that was in alignment with what they wanted to do. And all of a sudden, they'd be wanting to sell their house to me. Infinite banking is no different, by the way. If I just come out there and say, "Oh, this is what infinite banking does for you. It'll do this and this and this," and that's not the outcome that they need, or it's not the solution they need for their problem, it's not going to make any sense for them.
Yeah. It's
And so
malpractice
part of
too, by the way. It's malpractice. We talked about that yesterday, right? That's malpractice when you're going in that direction. And just I don't want to not see this in the chat with the tragedy with Charlie Kirk yesterday. So prayers out, and Brian mentioned earlier, prayers to his family, to everyone that's been impacted by that. Anytime their life is needlessly taken and it's way premature like this,
yeah,
it is something that hurts all of us. Like we're all connected. We're all connected in a big way, much bigger than we may even understand. And today's also 9/11, right?
yeah,
And that's a day I can feel and see that moment. I just got goosebumps and for that, what I chose today, what I've been wanting to talk about all day is there's a time to mourn, there's a time to focus and to pray. And my feeling is there's a bigger plan. There's something that's bigger at work that we can't understand. God has a way bigger plan. And I know it seems senseless. It's tragic. There's a lot of awful stuff happening in the world. And I also believe that this is the best time that we've ever had in our humanity. We are the light. We are that lighthouse, if you will, for other people. And so what I'd ask each of you today is not only to send out the prayers, but to write down for yourself, what's one brilliant thing today? What's something that has lit you up? And it can be simple as we had a family of sandhill cranes in our backyard this morning. And we've been feeding them a little bit, and now they think they're our pets. And Brian, the dad stands there and he mad eyes you, man. He stands there like this and he looks at you and he's looking at me through my window. And I'm like, I ain't feeding you today, buddy. You guys are making a mess of my yard. But the whole point is that's my one brilliant thing today. And it's something so small. It didn't take me any effort. It didn't cost anything. I just noticed something God put there in my backyard. And I thought it was pretty funny that the dad was I was a little, they're big birds. I didn't want to go outside, Brian. He might have got at me a little bit. So, any thoughts about anything else that's going on in the world before we wrap up here today, Brian, since we have the opportunity to share?
I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, all the stuff, it will eventually pass. Just kind of keep that in mind. But we're kind of living in that moment right now, and we're seeing history being made right now. I believe we are seeing history being made. This is something that's going to be remembered for decades, I think. And I've talked to a lot of people, even when it comes to infinite banking and stuff. I've known people that have had this in place for over 20 some years, and it's one of those things that's been constant through them, that we can control, because all these events that are happening right now, we can't control these events. I mean, we can react to them and stuff like that, but I always say focus on what you can control, right? And obviously feel and have emotions about things that you can control. But once again, understand what can you control in your life, those around you, hugging your kids, that kind of stuff. Make sure you focus on the things that you can control as well. Because so many people, I think, waste so much of their time, their focus, their energy on things they cannot control. And by the way, a lot of those people are miserable people.
Yeah.
They're the ones that actually cause a lot of pain and suffering in the world too, I think, by the way. So like for me, I understand like the Charlie Kirk thing, man, that's horrible. And I looked at it, I talked with, some people about it, my family and friends. But once again, I come back to the things that I can control. So that's why I love infinite banking, by the way, of course, because it's one of those things.
Yeah, and Brian, thank you for bringing it back to that, because it's about control, because life happens. Life will continue happening. Life is always going to happen. So again, everybody, if you're, Brian, little commercial, if you're new here to the channel, make sure you're smashing that like button. Just smash that thing. You're ringing the bell because it might just turn orange. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got a lot more people watching than we do subscribing. So make sure you're subscribing, because that helps bring this message that Brian and I are so passionate about to everyone else. And again, it is a big ass infinite banking bus. I want you to invite your friends, your family, your loved one, your community, even your enemies. Heck, they deserve to be on the bus as well. Bring them on. They don't have to stay on, but they have a chance to go ahead and identify as one of these avatars. Should they start? Should they train? Should they test? Should they teach? And I'm going to see you in this next video over here, or I'm going to see all of you next week, or maybe we'll even see you in some other trainings that we're putting together here shortly. So Brian, blessed to have you here. Everyone, thank you for your time. Connor, yes, Brian and I saw your message, so thank you, buddy. I'm glad you got to hear us. Any other parting thoughts, Brian, as we wind this down? This is a long one, but with you here, man, I wanted to stay a little longer. So
yeah, just take action. That's the one thing I say. If there's even a slight inkling that this could do something for you, don't hesitate. Just keep the journey going, keep the momentum going, and see if it's a fit for you.
Excellent, Brian. Well, hey, man, I'm blessed to have you on this with
Appreciate
me,
it.
the founding fathers journey, right? We're doing it together. We're on opposite sides of the country, but I'm just glad I have someone like you doing this with me. So thank you, brother.
All right, sounds good. Good. Appreciate you, and everybody else. Glad to have you here.
Talk to you later. Bye.